Right Rock Addicts. This is DJ REM, and I have Cam and Jay from the band Rock and Roll Villain Society on the line. How you guys doing today?
Good, great, man.
So, why don't you start by introducing yourselves and the other members of the band that aren't with us today, please?
All right, my name is, you go first, Cam.
Okay, this is Cameron of Rock and Roll Villain Society. I'm the drummer of the band.
My name is Dave Schuyler. I am the singer and guitarist. I'm also responsible for the lack of tape and songwriting. And who we're missing right now is our bassist Chris Ware, and he is visiting his kid, I believe. So, but he wanted to be here, but it's a family thing.
Yeah, he had to go to Oregon.
Yes.
Okay, very good. So let's talk about the new song that's out. Everybody's been really digging and loving it. And so why don't you guys tell me what went into the writing of this song, and, you know, All Rainbows and Ponies Must Die. What's up with the title?
Okay, just one thing we kind of want to be clear about is we really have nothing against rainbows and or ponies, right? No, I'm serious, man. You listen very carefully to the lyrics. It's really about chipper, spunky people who insist on enforcing, like, their happiness on you outside of the Christmas season, right? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, so it's just like, oh, smile, you know, oh, why are you such a puppy puss? Are you mad? Like, you know, these people, they become such a menace and a pest in your life that killing rainbows and ponies, in order to bring them down, becomes the final solution. We don't really have a problem with the punks. We don't want people to think we're some kind of sickos or something. It's really just with chipper people.
Very cool. And I have to say, Cam, and I think you've noticed this, but ever since you sent the track in, you know, I got it right on air. Everybody in the chat loved it, and it's been requested like every time I'm on. So people love it.
Awesome.
So a huge thank you to you for getting it sent in. Much appreciated.
No problem. Thank you for your support of it.
Well, heck yeah, man. You know I've been a supporter of you guys since like way back. So it's very cool.
You guys get everything. Independent radio has always supported us, and you know, you guys always get exclusive stuff that we just don't send to other places. You know, so because we really appreciate all the just letting people hear our stuff. You know, not worrying about ads. You know, because the bottom line is, I don't know who listens to even commercial radio anymore. Everybody listens to independent radio because it's better, and that's the bottom line. So we're really, really flattered to have the interview be played on your station, and it's really appreciated, man.
Yeah. Anything to add to that, Cam?
Yeah, no, I'm totally. I think it's awesome that people like you want to take on this position of helping out independent artists like us. You know, for people like you that are keeping independent bands alive and keeping independent music alive.
Now that we've all said nice things, can I talk a little trash, man?
Do it. Do it.
Well, this is our. I don't know if you've noticed or you know, if you played it back to back with maybe some of our earlier material. This is the first track to come out of our own studio. This is the first one that was completely recorded by us and engineered by our buddy Jim Skaggs, who's also the one who hustled up the money for our Atlantis cable. And I don't know how it sounds maybe on anybody else's system, but all I know is on our systems, I mean, really, it sounds like 1,000 times better. I was hoping to get as good, and it sounds much better, which really makes me think, you know, one of the rules of rock and roll is if you think you're getting ripped off by your producer, you're getting ripped off by your producer, and if you don't think you're getting ripped off by your producer, you're getting ripped off by your producer, right? I mean, I mean, I just don't really, you know, now that we've done it, this is our first track. And I mean, even my ex-girlfriends I played it for were just like, they started laughing. Like, oh my God, it sounds so much better. Those guys are just ripping you off. I'm like, yes, in fact, they were ripping us off, you know? Either that or they're just completely clueless. But I mean, it's not rocket science, man. The bass isn't loud enough, you turn the bass up or you turn everything else down. I'm clueless. But, so we were real pleased with it, and this is our first. So you can expect like a whole new, like the upcoming album to be on just a whole other level of sound quality than the previous ones. And I thought Skull Stars and guitar sounded great, but this is going to be like something better. Because, you know, we have that, we've spent, you know, people are like, what have you guys, you know, well, we've been building our own studio to kind of get out of this stuff, get away from the scams, get away from the frauds. Other bands out there, the technology is finally there. You can get a $100 unit. That will give you quality if you're just completely anal retentive about, you know, doing everything, you know. So, I hope this is like, but I put a lot into the beats, and I know Cam puts a lot into his drumming. And you know what? It's like we're the two main guys in the band. We're always here, right? And you know, you can't ever hear the kick drum on like a lot of stuff we get out of the studios. You can't hear the guitar solos. I'm like, you know what? We're a band that jams. We improvise. That's part of our shtick, man. It's like, it's not my fault, like, you don't like Cam's drumming or my guitar playing, right? You know what I'm saying? We're paying you to reproduce the sound of the band. So I think for those of us, those of you out there who haven't heard us live, this is a lot closer to what we sound like live, much bigger in your face than I think, you know, the previous recordings really indicated, especially Captain America. And I love the solo I played on that one, but it's like, it just sounds flat. It doesn't have that bigness that people who've seen us live really associate with us. So.
Okay, man. Well, very cool. And I mean, how awesome is it? I mean, one, that you do it yourself and don't have to worry about that, and then you got full creative control of the process. I mean, it's kind of a win-win.
Well, it's a win-win. 2 years of nonstop work later.
Right.
Doing all this stuff. You know, quite frankly, I would rather, my whole view has always been, right, like, in a band, right, everybody does what they're best at, right? So it's just like, people like, you're a guitar player, you know, it's just like, and you've been through 18 bass players, why don't you just play bass on the album sometimes? It's like, because I'm not a bass player, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And, you know, so, but the thing, I'm not a producer, and it's just like, I have no intention of ever recording anybody else's music, because honestly, I'm sitting there with the computer, and I'm like, man, can I just play guitar now? Right? It takes time out of my practice schedule. But but the thing is, man, it's just like, at least, it's just like, I just want to know how to record our music so it sounds like our band. And I think we finally got that for, like, you know, we played it and it was like, oh my God, this is it, right? It sounds like us, finally, you know? So, although the vocals always sounded pretty good on the previous albums, man, I think the guitars and drums were really lacking compared to their just live elements. So we're very excited about this track for that. And plus, because, you know, it's not one of my deeper songs, man, but if people like songs about trucks and dogs and you know, all this kind of crazy stuff, and quite frankly, I do too, which is why I write them, you know.
Right. Well, and this track is also the first track really under the band Rock and Roll Villain Society too, right?
No, the last four. Okay, I don't know what's since we have been Rock and Roll Villain Society 4 years. It's before Outlaw Trucker. So Outlaw Trucker is the first one actually released as Rock and Roll Villain Society, and the other ones and the other albums we've already got new covers and stuff on them. We sold a bunch of them as Rock and Roll Villain Society albums. I think it was a problem with one of the MP3s.
Correct.
Cameron sent out. I think it was just his computer auto wrote the metadata. But like, I'm looking at mine, and I don't have a copy of Outlaw Trucker. You know, if you don't have the lyrics in yours, it probably got overwritten. You know, and I think that's just what it was. Cameron's computer was used to everything put in that folder was Radio Star SF, but in reality, I mean, for every track that I have, they've all been Rock and Roll Film Society, because that was years ago now, we changed the name.
Right, well, yeah, and that's true. And I tell you, I even, with Outlaw Trucker, I even tried to rename it on my computer, and it wouldn't rename it. No matter, I even ran it through software to rename it, and it still came out the old name.
Sure. You know what? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put, probably the best plan is I'm just going to put, put the songs on the, on our web server and send everybody a password. If songs get corrupted or something like that, they always have an access to like the pristine copy. That's probably the best thing to do. And then you gotta, you know, sometimes you get email stuff, you gotta wait for the email thing to download. It's like slowing down your email stuff. You know, but if you do it that way, then everybody could do it at their leisure, transfer it to the cloud or whatever the heck they do.
Yeah,
but,
I would love that, because then I would just delete the old stuff off.
Yeah, that would be, yeah, so, that will happen sometime today.
Okay,
so.
Very cool. So, okay, so you guys got the new track out. What else is going on with you guys?
We're basically recording the next track. We want to get the album done, so that's number one. And we're gonna. I'm talking to. Sorry, Tim.
I was gonna say, yeah. Now that we got a new song out, now we're going to be focusing on getting the rest of the album out.
You guys have like a date in mind? I mean, kind of what's your end game plan here?
The end game plan is to release the album and then play a bunch of shows and both while we're recording the album and after. And then after that, we're going to record another album and play shows during it. I mean, this is like we've already achieved our goal. You know what I'm saying? We just want to be playing music. We want to get our music out to people. You know, we've busted our asses to get good at this, and you know, do everything despite people who want to drag you down and haters, whatever. And you know what? That's fine. People can be that way because, like, and you know what? I'm not going to change one bit. You know, yeah, good. I trusted you, and maybe you screwed us over, but like. You know what? I refuse to not be the man I am, because somebody else, like, is kind of, like, weak like that. But, yeah, I mean, we're already at our goal, and that goal is to produce music and get it out to people. So, with this one, we're finally, like, life begins again. So, because there's a little lag after Captain America. We're in a studio, right, recording at that time, paying like $1 million a minute, and the results were so hard. It's just like I wouldn't even use those. Like when we were comparing this to the previous tracks we done, I wouldn't even use them because I didn't want anybody even to hear our music sounding like that. Like that's the level it was. I mean, I think that dude was just ripping us off. I mean, straight up, he was a fraud, man. But the other guy just didn't like us, maybe. But I mean, I can see not liking me, but you can't. Everybody likes Cameron, man.
Hey, very good. So the next few things I'm going to ask you, we've been through this rigmarole before, but I'm hoping to get this out to new people, new listeners. So you're going to get the same old questions that I've asked you like 14 times, just so you know.
Well, I'll answer them 28 more times, 36 more times. Ask away, man.
Awesome. Okay, so this is a question for each of you. What kind of influences have you guys had in your life that got you into music and made you want to do something like this and kind of keep you going?
Sam, you want to go first?
Let's see. My first influence was AC/DC. First album I ever got was Back in Black, and of course. Led Zeppelin has always been a huge influence of mine, and I own every Iron Maiden and Judas Priest album practically. And of course, one of my all-time favorite albums was Ozzy's Diary of a Madman. Ozzy with Randy Rhoads. That was a huge influence. So. Yeah, pretty much. Those are, let's see, I think my number one influence on drumming is John Bonham.
Come on, Claire. You like Slayer?
Well, hell yeah, well, Slayer, yeah, well, that goes without saying.
Yeah, I know you play.
Dave Lombardo, that guy's a machine.
Would you say you love Nickelback?
Oh, dude, come on, man.
Gotta make sure you guys are alive.
Nickelback.
What about you, Jay? What influenced you?
I'll put a little more of a narrative on mine. Okay, I come from a long line of concert pianists and singers, right? And I hated piano lessons when I was a kid. I mean, I got punished for not practicing that stuff, you know, until I rebelled and played guitar. But it's like, seems like a ridiculous rebellion at this point. But let me tell you, it was a big deal at the time. But anyways, I was over, like, I had like 5 or 6 years old. I was over at my friend Jimmy's house, and they had this little yellow plastic radio, right? And I remember hearing, like Voodoo Child, right?
Yep.
And like, I think the story to go like this. Well, that's who I wanted to be a guitar player. I'm just like, I had no idea what made that shit, right? You know, I'm like, tired, right? I thought it was that. And then couple of fortunate things for me. One is, you know, when the public library changed to like CDs, they let you take. Anyways, at that point I was in like 350 having the Velvet Underground's greatest hits out. You know, I had to wait for an Amnesty Day, and then all the local guys knew I was into rock, like, and they were like the vinyl purists. You know, all their records had like the plastic bags. I mean, I remember within a 3-month period, like they all went out and replaced their whole collections on CDs and just dropped off like every 70s rock album, like at our garage, man. I was just like, I had like 7 copies of Peter Frampton Comes Alive, dude. All 70s, no 60s, right? You know, and from there, man, I mean, I was a little kid, and it's just like I grew up like with punk rock and heavy metal. I've never understood. People are like, I like metal. I'm like, you know, dude, it's like, maybe I come from just such a small town that, like, you know, there's not enough punks and metalheads to, like, draw the distinction, man. But we're all banging, like, the same 4 goth chicks anyways, right? So I never really thought the difference. I like them both, right? But certainly my favorite guitar, Jimi Hendrix. I like David Gilmour of Pink Floyd. He's like my second.
Okay, Cam, go start with your narrative you had for us.
Okay, well, what I was starting to say was, I remember when I was, what really got me wanting to play music, rock and roll, was when I was 10 years old. I was over at my best friend's house for the first time, and I heard his older brother's rock band playing out in his garage, and I was just like, I decided right then and there that was what I was going to spend the rest of my life doing. From the time I was 10 years old, and I came home that night and I told my mom and dad, guess what? I decided I'm not gonna get a haircut anymore. I'm gonna grow my hair long. I'm gonna go be a rock star. And of course the response to that was negative. It was just like, don't count on that. And you're too young to be making decisions to grow your hair. But as you can see, that's exactly what happened.
Right, and you followed through with your word. That's good.
Exactly.
I come from a more showbiz family, although I still think, you know, it's like my mom said it would become profitable. But here's a little trivia about me, right? My great uncle is Colonel Mustard on the Clue box. You know, the game Clue? Colonel Mustard? That's my great uncle Bud, man. So, if we ever play board games, man, I get the yellow pieces, and there's no arguing about that, right? Because I'm related, man.
Right.
Yeah. But, yeah, man. So I mean, I grew up with punk rock, heavy metal. You know, Danzig. I'm from Jersey. I love Danzig. I love Springsteen's from my hometown. Zach Wild's from my hometown. And it's not really a very big hometown. It's just a very boring place where there's nothing else to do. You know, it's a death trap. It's a suicide rap. Got to get out while you're young. That's where I grew up, man. And it's famously crappy. But of course, I've always loved classic rock, man. I mean, there's people who like classic rock, and there's people who lie, you know? It's just like, you know, I had a guitar student in the studio, and he's like, "You want to learn Knocking on Heaven's Door?" I'm like, "Damn straight, right?" So we're playing it, right? And you know, this guy's walking down the hallway, one of the other bands, and he gives me kind of this like, this is not hip kind of look. And I'm like, as he walks by, I'm like, "Yeah, we are playing Knocking on Heaven's Door, dude. Yes, we are, and we're not afraid." And he goes, "I'm gonna fucking rock, man." I'm like, yeah, that's the whole thing, man. If you're taking this stuff too seriously, well, you're missing out the whole fun, right? Because there for you when you're depressed and all that stuff. But it should also be there for you when you're having a damn good time, you're getting laid, you know. It's all about that, man. I mean, it's just like I couldn't be doing anything like better with my life than bringing music to people. So I mean, that's it. And I don't, you know, it's just like everybody's like, as you get better at the instrument, you'll develop more sophisticated taste in music. You know what? It's not true, man. It's completely false, man. Yeah, no, I haven't got and decided I like jazz guitar. Because you know what? I respect jazz guitar. It's so good. But I don't like jazz. I don't listen to jazz guitar, man. It's just like, a song is good when I find myself jumping up and down on top of my bed giving the sign of the horns, man. The standard has been the same since age 8, dude, right? It's like, gotta hit you, gotta speak to you. It can't be, you know, it's gotta kick ass, man. That's what it's about, and that's what we're doing, man. There's a lot of other bands out there doing it as well, and we salute them, and we're on your side. We consider you guys on the same team, not competition. So let's all change, like, let's all bring music back, like, non-boring, you know? So.
Exactly. Can't agree with you more on that one. So.
Talk back and rock.
So where did the name Rock and Roll Villain Society come from? How did you come up with that name for the band?
Okay. I came up with it. Originally, the name I wanted I had for when I first started was Devolver, and I got outvoted by the rest. You got unanimous. I said, finally, I got so tired of not having a band name. I was like, look, guys, you guys all can agree on something. If I hate it, I will just deal with it just so we can play shows and not look like fools, right? And that's the one they ended up with, Radio Star One. That's one they ended up with, right? And I dealt with it for years. And then, you know, I finally reached a decision. I'm like, democracy is good for America, but not necessarily, like, for my band.
Right.
I'm real close, like, having a name that like, because I don't want, you know, you got to admit, man, nobody tried harder. Like, I put more, like, custom, evil-looking fonts, trying to make it look cool. The problem is, if you didn't see the look, you just heard the name, it was just like, this has nothing to do with music, right? So, I was on, okay, you know, you have a fan club, and I'm like, a fan club? And I'm like, you know, I'm a total fanboy when it comes to rock, you know? And I'm just like, you know, here's the problem with having a fan club, right? It's just like, one is you can't be in your own fan club, right? Because that's kind of like a little ego maniacal, right?
Right.
Two, right? So you can't be in your own fan. But why don't you start a club, right? Like, to be a part of, right? Because, you know, we don't have a fan. And we'll just sort of like secret society of like people who agree that like on some very philosophical, political, and religious issues, things like skateboards should look evil, right? They should have like skulls on them, right? You know, guitars should be played loud and fast sometimes, and sometimes slow, right? But people who think that like who just are down, they're living a life, they love the stuff, they're having a great time. What's like other genres, or you just like rock? I mean, there's like a lot of other genres besides rock, and like for me, people are like, do you like those? Because you know, I try and put on as good a performance as like my actual voice is capable of. So people like always think like I'm somehow going to be against like all the monster vocals and stuff. I'm like you're completely underestimating like much of a piece of white trash I actually am, dude, because I love that stuff. It's just heavier, man. I don't understand why you don't get it. Like anything else, some of it's good, some of it's bad, right? I like that. I remember one time, like, to a dude who sung in a Klingon death metal band, about like our favorite James Taylor song, man. So just like it's all over the board. Good music. Won't say there's only two kinds of bad music. Actually, I like both. You know, so it's like when we just start a society, because you know I had to fill out this thing on the reverb. On the internet, and then I'm sitting there, and I started rocking villain society, right? People of approval that this is we're on this, you know, pick it up, play the hell out of it, no prison, no excuses, kind of like approach to rock and roll. And then everything that had that on it, everybody loved, right? San Francisco, at least 2/3 of the people who liked our band thought that was the band name anyways, because it was on everything, it was skateboards. And quite frankly, once I thought of that, I'm just like, and people started catching on to it, I'm just like, I started to prepare the name change, right? I mean, you think it's, one day we just did it. Like, no, I had the logos and the web domains. I had that stuff brought up for years. I had to just convince. Cameron was concerned about, like, you know, we've done very well with this name. My view is just like, with name, but I think we've done as that we really can, right? You know, because it's like it says nothing about our band. You know, Radio Star SF, except that I live in SF and Cameron lives in San Jose. So it's just like, and the bass player lives in San Jose. So I mean, just people thought it was a nice. I would just say anything. Rock and Roll Villain Society. Do you see that, right? You know pretty much what you're getting when you.
Right, exactly.
You know, on the old slides, I have to put, like, this is a rock and roll show, because people don't know, right? With Rock and Roll Villain Society, right? They're pretty convinced, you know, it's about rock, you know, and we love metal, and we love punk, and we love all that stuff. But you know, we're basically a bunch of dirtbag punks and metalheads just trying to form like the ultimate rock and roll band. You know, that's because we'd rather make give rock that punk and metal edge, right? Rather than like try and like be a more rockin' metal or more like rockin' or melodic punk band, right? Because you don't want to soften that the lunatic frame, right? Which we both come from, and you want to metal and give it the intent that here's on each end with the push fence. So.
Okay, very good. Anything to add to that, Cam?
Yeah, no, that's pretty much. I mean, especially with coming out with songs like Outlaw Trucker, you know. that right there. I mean, you had the name Rock and Roll Villain Society definitely fits better with that. The name Radio Star SF just didn't fit with Outlaw Trucker. You know, we're coming out with songs that are much badder sounding and more, as me to say, villainous sounding.
Exactly.
And our first single, right, it says right in there, was a cartoon Americana villains, which our tagline on the website was rock and roll Americans, right? So it wasn't a far stretch. I mean, that was the line at first. I'm sorry, you're saying? What I was going to say, you know, people could never get the name Radio Star SF right. They would always misspell it or mispronounce it or rock. You know, it's just like people try to make it into anything else because it had nothing to do with us, right? You know?
Yeah.
So, and
they expect it to be a 80s cover band, 80s new wave cover band or something, or a retro 80s band.
Oh, new wave, yeah. You see, the whole thing is like radio, because video killed radio. Because this is how you know, we used to have a different singer back in the day. We've got really love him. We thought it was a great thing. Things moved on, but he sold it to me like, well, it's kind of like they killed the radio star, right? Like we're back for vengeance, right? I'm like, oh, okay, so it's ironic. People don't get irony in a band name. I like that for sure, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're going to call yourself something ironic because they just don't get it because they just hear the name, the radio, right? And it's just like, without the full, you got to assume that your name should just be mandatory. And because we're from San Francisco too, San Francisco bands have like loud guitar in them. Traditionally have ridiculously long, right? The holding over messenger service. You know, Beatles wanted a corporate core that sound out for their pop purposes, right? They had to create a fake band, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, because the SFC, either for paying homage to it, depending on your perspective, right? They just needed a long band name. So now we have a long band name, and we are legit. We are naming scheme, but again, the website's villainsurprise.com. It's just shorter. I don't like to type, but
Okay, so where is a good place to find out more about you guys? What social networking and websites do you use?
Okay, as far as Cameron, you want to give the Facebooks and the MySpace? What's Facebook, first off?
You can find us on Facebook. Just type in Rock and Roll Villain Society and it pops up.
And YouTube, if you want to see me and Cameron get killed by dog puppets?
Yeah, we're on YouTube. Again,
what's the address? Yeah.
Again, just type in Rock and Roll Villain Society and that'll pop up. Yep.
Now, do you want to type it in with dashes, or you just type it in with no dashes, no spaces, no apostrophes?
Type it in with apostrophes.
There's apostrophes, so you can just type that in there and it'll come up on the page?
Yep.
YouTube.com/rock and roll. I'm just asking the things that the people at home are going to ask, man, right? So, ROCK and VILLAN, right? AIN, by the way, although the browser will probably correct that. Not IN. Okay, now we also have villainsociety.com, which is VILLAIN, but the browser, you know, it always corrects in the browser for some reason. So, or the other alternative is, well, the stuff on the radiostar.com is little, okay, we got hacked a couple weeks ago. I'm like, you know, by this thing called, I don't know, Hitch. It's some sort of fan promotion thing that works by hacking people's pages and stuff like that.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I know, dude, but it's for real, dude. Actually, I mean, I don't want to say the actual name on the air, so I don't want to give them, like, you know, props or anything like that. But, like, I mean, like, so a couple of things have to be, I mean, we earlier this year, like, just decided that we know we're going to get hacked and stuff, so we upgraded our web hosting, and they had it 52 hours. We're real pleased with that. But so we have villainsociety.com, okay, and if you want to know what I'm doing on guitar, right, I teach guitar for a living, so jskyler.com, or jskyler-guitarlessons-sanfrancisco.com will take you to the same place, JAYSKYLER.com. There is about 100, like, honestly, like, it's about 200 pages, about 100 diagrams of all kinds of everything I do on guitar, or, you know, the foundation of what the scales is built out of and the chords I'm using. It's all on there along with a bunch of other stuff. So it's just like a vast resource. I put this online. It's completely free. You know, there's no begging for donations, none of that stuff, right? There's no weird stacking cookies and whatever, you know. Go on there. Anything you need on guitar, there's a chart, there's explanations, man. So if you play guitar and you want to get better, just check it out, man, because I'm sure there's something you can find there. And also stuff on like equipment and stuff on how not to get ripped off, like on how not to get ripped off, guitar lessons, right? Stuff that people don't realize when they're teaching it wrong, right? It explains all stuff that is guitar, and you find like, dude, I don't know what's up. This seems weird. Check out the site. It's probably got something on it. And what's the other thing? You know when the phone cut out, you know what that reminded me of, Cameron?
What's that?
When I had the Mesa Boogie and I used to blow it up like every 3 shows, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Right in the middle of the lead, always, dude. Right in the middle of the lead, man. You really got it. It's like, when an amp explodes, I want you to know, there's nothing like Gene Simmons about it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's not like an explosion of tinsel and like psychedelic haze, right? it just makes like a horrible crackling smoke comes out of it. That's about it, right? So it's really not like, you know, blowed up with dynamite or something like that. It's really actually, anticlimactic when you see it. Yeah. So that's what that reminded me of, man. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of the same thing. I was thinking the exact same thing when it happened. I remember we'd be playing shows, and I'd be sitting right, the amp would be like sitting in the back right beside me, and I could smell that thing cooking right in the middle of the song.
Oh, you remember that thing? Oh, you hear it now? Yeah, man. Okay, don't ever let. This is the other. Like, if you're a guitar player, especially, don't let everybody says you gotta buy because it's the best and blah blah blah. Something like your good friend bought a Bentley, right? And it was a piece of crap. I'm a but just for example, right? It broke down. It drove terrible. Just a lemon all around. And somebody asked him, like, "Oh, so I heard you got a Bentley. How do you like it?" What would they say? "Oh, it rides like a dream. I love it." You know, they're gonna say all good things about it because they spent all this money.
Right.
What do they have to show for it? All they have is the prestige, the perceived prestige of owning it, right? So, and that was a lesson to me. I learned the hard way. Because everybody's like, "Oh, it's the best, it's the best, it's the best, it's the best." You know, like, and I went out and I was just like, I couldn't believe it, man. I spent so much money. I sold my old Fender Twin, man. It was like, it's a big mistake. Try to bring it to be repaired, you know what he said to me? The dude who's like fixed like all sorts of famous people. That dude, like, he made fun of me for selling my Fender Twin. You know, I'm just like, I don't want to work on that with the channel switching and all that sissy stuff. I'm like, okay, I love you, dude. Like, I should have come to you first and asked you, you know? Like, Mark 1, that's the boogie you need, right? You know? Yeah, it's like, you gotta be careful. Price doesn't indicate it's anything like, you want to make the boogie, you gotta get a Mark 1, 2, or 3, or 4. Mark something, that's the good one. Not the silliness that I had. But, yeah, so don't buy everything just because it's expensive. And get a bigger kick drum, right, Cameron?
Oh yes, if there's anything we've learned from this whole experience, the bigger the kick drum, the bigger the sound.
Yes, it's like, well, I mean, this is how I was raised in the middle of nowhere, man. But like, right? A rock and roll kick is how big? How many inches, Cameron?
26.
26, right? Under 24 is for. We're trying to review the quick. That's what you had.
For like
24 is. Having two 24s is I've seen that, and that's pretty badass, right?
Oh yeah, 24. Yeah, with the 224s, it's metal, but if it's 124 or smaller, you know, it's jazz or pop music or.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. Well, you know what it is, man. It's like. Nobody, like, you gotta kick people in the gut with that thing, right? And, like, low tom, man, what's that?
They gotta make them feel it in their chest.
Right, it's a low tom, man. What's a good size for a low tom?
18,
right? That's what I'm saying. Big boy. Like, everybody's like, well, I want the bottom sound. You know what? Get big drums like he has. That's what it is. I like Jimi Hendrix, you know what? I play a Strat. I'm not sponsored by Fender, but, like, you know what? I play that, right? Use common sense, man, because, like, I don't know, I've been on this getting ripped off kick lately because, well, every time I get ripped off, which is all the time, because it's not hard. But, boy, that's totally what I'm into, you know. There's things that rock, you know, Beavis and Butthead kind of mentality. But, yeah, fans out there, our advice to you, do not pay a whole lot of money for a producer. Just start doing it yourself now. Get the hang of it. 2, don't buy stuff just because it's expensive or it's prestigious. You know what the good amps are because everybody plays them, what the good guitars are. Everybody plays the same guitars and the same amps because those are the ones that work, right? And with drums and with guitar and with rock and roll in general, less is often more. However, more is always more. Right?
Right.
So, bigger kicks, more cabs, more what? It's all good. It's all good. Turn it up as loud as. Don't worry about your neighbors. They'll move. Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, I gotta let you go. Thanks again for taking the time to talk to me, and I'll be in touch.
Rock and roll, man.
All right, take care. See you in the chat, Cam.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Yep. Bye.